Welcome to the Interview Podcast, the voice of InterCT. InterCT's aim is to help young athletes become excellent individuals through the vehicle of soccer. Love the game, love to learn, and love to compete at InterCT.
Hi, everyone. Back with another Interview Podcast. I am Aaron Mazzola. As always, I'm joined by Tommy Robinson. How you doing, Tom?
Good, mate. Yeah.
You don't
Looking
like
forward to spring
you don't like
season.
the nickname Tommy, though.
No, I never had it. I don't know. I only ever got it since I moved here. I was always just Tom, and then I got Robbo quite a lot.
Oh, Robbo.
A long name. And then, yeah, it's weird. Like, this is the only place I've worked where I just get called Tom. I get called a lot worse at home and by my mum. But, you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. You're the same, though, right? You don't really, you get what, as is a
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. My nickname, I've never gotten that except here.
Yeah.
That's a weird combination. Usually it's Maz or Amaz. I used to go as Amaz, first letter of my first name, and then first four of my last name. But yeah, how did that come about? Like, what is that?
I just in England, you just shorten names from like playing with people, so it's easier to say than Aaron. And I have another really good friend who's called who's also an Aaron. So I usually just get last names, but I don't know. It's it's not like you're the gypsy like Coach Quinn. So you're all right.
Yeah, he is for sure a gypsy. He just takes pennies and whatever he can grab grab with his hands.
And also his background as well. He's the only person who I know who has like 17 different nationalities, but
except the average American.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, excuse me, I'm a little congested this week. I'm getting over a cold.
Yeah, that's my fault, right? I think I passed that on.
Yeah, you definitely gave this to me when we were in Tampa for sure. He comes late and he's coughing the whole time. Tom, what's going on? Oh, just a little bit of a cough, and then
allergies, mate. It's humidity.
Yeah, when I get back, I get the exact same thing, but I think I had it worse than you. Anyway,
of course you did.
Anyway, this is gonna be a short one. We're talking about mainly the spring. This podcast. We've had a bunch of requests from parents to get the spring game schedule on Sports Engine. Within reason, parents want to be able to plan sometime in advance. I know that the schedules get kind of crazy in the spring because lacrosse hops in, basketball's still going. I don't know, is baseball a spring sport as well?
You're asking the wrong person on that one, buddy. Quidditch is what I call lacrosse, and it makes a lot
of so all of the game schedules should be uploaded on Sports Engine. There's the odd game here and there that may get moved, whether it be a day or a time or a location. So the Sports Engine schedule, usually 95% of the time, is the schedule you should look at for updated information. Because once we get the information now, it goes straight on Sports Engine just to communicate with all the parents and the families and be transparent with what we have coming up. But like I said, every now and then it should change. But for the most part, the schedule is locked by CJSA and they try to keep it like that. We schedule a lot of things. And it just helps that we know that nobody else can change our schedule. But yeah, Tom, if you have any input there, and you got the
I think just over the course of how the soccer landscape in Connecticut's grown, we used to all sit down in a big hotel conference hall and just sit down and do it that way. But now, because so many teams has got so many clubs there and it's so big, and someone like yourself, Aaron, you're not just scheduling for one team, you're scheduling for 4 teams. So it got put online, and then, like we've mentioned before, we've got more girls teams, we've got more pre-teams, we've got the high school groups back with us. So all of a sudden, in the fall, it was dead easy to schedule games because we only had to look after maybe like 20 teams. Now I think we're closer to 60 teams that we've got to look after.
Crazy.
And whatnot. So we have that. And then on top of that, we've got a few state cup things to throw in there. So I think the easiest way to say it is if you look on your Sports Engine app and you can't see any games, go directly to your coach. Say, Tom and Aaron said on the podcast that the schedule should be up by now, and just reach out, because we love Sports Engine, but it can be very glitchy at times.
Yes.
I uploaded all my schedule, and then for some reason, 2 games just never went on. So it can be, we could think we have done it, and because we don't really get many notifications from, like, when we upload games, it's more goes to the families and whatnot. So, and if you, like I said, someone like Aaron who's uploading 40 games, you might not be able to keep track of them. So have a look at that. Make sure you know where you are. The games can be Saturday, they can be Sunday. If you have a weekend off where you have no game, that typically means you'll have a double header somewhere else in the season. So don't be looking at.
I was just gonna say, I have questions from parents sometimes where it's like, oh, we don't have a game the weekend of the 7th. Well, maybe look ahead in the schedule, because more than likely there is a doubleheader. And if we could schedule it every weekend, you have a game, then we would. But, Tom is a scheduling master, and even he can't get it done sometimes because, it's the club that we're playing, or the venue shuts down, or, stuff like that we can't really control.
Yeah, one of the big ones we're dealing with right now is most fields in Connecticut don't open until the middle of April. So that's why you might see no games here, because the team we were supposed to play, their field isn't ready to play on. So they just push it back later into the season. So, so I would definitely reach out to your coaches if your schedule isn't there. The next one is we kind of go to a new practice schedule also once we get past Easter. So make sure you look at that and don't show up to the wrong location. We see it every year when we go from the winter to the spring schedule. Oh, I've been at Sono Fieldhouse all winter, and parents just drive there and then they realize they're at the wrong spot. So just make sure you're checking those, you're updating that. Next one from me would just be tournaments, making sure you're in there on tournaments. If you're kind of a 9v9 team and older, your tournament will be Memorial Weekend. Make sure if you need to get a hotel, you're booking those up pretty soon, because I know deadlines are coming for those.
Fill fast.
Once the deadline passes, then you're on your own. Obviously, if you don't want to stop in the club hotel, that's fine. You can stop at an Airbnb, family, another hotel where you might get points at, whatever. And then for the 7v7 and maybe some more of the Union 7v7 teams, you're going to be going to a tournament on 420 and 421. You'll either be at Glastonbury, which is mainly where the Union groups are going, or you'll be at the Sporting CT tournament with where more of the Norwalk base clubs are going. So again, if you're unsure where you're going, 1, it should be on your schedule, and 2, reach out to your coach or director. The one with the April 20th, 21st though, that is in and around spring break for some clubs, some schools. So please make sure, if you're going away, no problem, but just we're going to this tournament with or without you. So we just need to plan and make sure we have the right players available and structure it there. So they're the main things. Like I said, schedule should be on the games, should be on the games. As for times, ideally, most teams would start next weekend, which would be, is it the 6th and 7th of April?
Yeah, 6th.
Is that what next? 6th and 7th of April would be the first round of games, and then we pretty much go all the way through. Your last round of games should be June 8th and June 9th, the weekend before Father's Day. And that's pretty much your season in there. So there should be games pretty much every weekend. Like Aaron mentioned, if there's not a game, it's because you've got a doubleheader somewhere else. And we'll kind of, address those as is. We'd be also very naive to think we could get through the whole entire spring season without any rain. Sorry, that's just Coach calling me.
Especially with what we witnessed last weekend.
I was thinking in the fall as well, man. Remember how bad the fall was? There was like 4 weeks straight in the fall.
Yeah. So I can imagine that we'll have some weekends where we do get rained out, or we may have to move a game or something. But I also want to add, please RSVP. I know that, everyone's kind of getting back into the swing of things, and maybe you missed out on some of the RSVPs during the winter or something, or even a practice or a jamboree, game. But they really do help with us knowing the numbers. I had to chase a couple people down for the jamboree, but it all turned out okay. I wish I didn't have to chase people down, and that's, unfortunately, that's just what happens. And not pointing any fingers, because I've I've forgotten to RSVP or, respond to something before, but it really does help. And, for the most part in the fall, I thought my parents did a good job, and some of these parents are veterans now, Tom. They're with us for, 5 years at this point.
No, definitely.
So,
Two things that annoy me with the RSVPs though is one, when you have it on automatic, because
yeah,
we great if you can put it on automatic. I'm going to be a yes to everything over the next 12 weeks. Great, but we also know that's not reality. That's not general life. So if you can avoid that and avoid the maybe every time I speak to Sports Engine, I say that's the most pointless thing ever because it doesn't
well,
really help us, because we
I
also
don't know
don't get
though,
a
Tom.
notification when you move.
For me though, a maybe, it tells me that you at least saw it,
I'd
because
rather just straight no.
so you would start with a no. You'd rather just say, if you're not sure, just put a no
Yeah.
in.
So whichever way you're leaning towards. And I think that's where it comes down to coach preference, right? For me, I'd be like, okay, no problem. Because the issue we have as coaches is we don't get updates when you change from a maybe to a yes or a no,
Right.
or at
I
least
mean,
that gives us a standing point of where we are.
true,
And
true.
you know what it's like on a weekend, right, Aaron? I don't really get time to check my Sports Engine between being at the field from 8, coaching games, driving to my next game. So if I know some of our coaches say if you've not RSVP'd by Thursday at noon, don't expect to play, because he or she's then going to look to get extra players in to make sure that we're ready. And that's kind of where that maybe one doesn't really help, because I've had it before. We may make it depending on how my son or daughter's other sport goes. And that doesn't really help me. I'd
No,
rather
it
be, okay,
doesn't.
I'm not going to be here, but I'll be there at halftime. Fine. Listen, if you want to get there at halftime, that's fine. We'll figure out your
Yeah.
game time based on that. So,
Well, for me at least, I don't mind a maybe if it's earlier in the week, because then
yeah,
I'm gonna talk to you about it anyway. I
yeah,
see
that's a
the
good way to do
maybe,
it.
then I'm gonna follow up with you. If you want to do it, you're not sure from a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday perspective, no problem. Maybe up there. But if it's Thursday and you're gonna give me an answer on Friday, I'm just gonna find another player. So I
Yeah,
think we're saying the same things, but I do a maybe for me isn't the end of the world. If you really don't think you're gonna go, put a no in, right?
yeah. I think,
But
mate, for me, the last thing regarding Sports Engine in general is we see a lot of, and I think I saw one in your one for the Jamboree. What uniform are we wearing? What time shall
so
it
that was a
arrive?
Sports Engine thing, though. The
Yes, but
uniform was a Sports Engine thing.
you can also now click on the event. If you click on the event that your coaches has uploaded, it'll tell you what time you need to be there. It'll tell you the location. It'll tell you the field number if the other team supplied us with it.
Yeah,
All the information's there. So again, posted in that chat, you might get answers from other parents, but like on game day, if you're messaging me an hour before the game on
I have
Sports
no
Engine,
time.
I'm not getting to it. So all the information's in there. If you just go to the schedule and click on it instead of just looking at it from like the kind of bubble that it's in. If you click on there, it gives you all the information, and then just make sure you plan. So some of the games, for example, I think the first week of the season, most of our Zone 1 Academy teams are up in Oakwood.
Mm.
That's, you got to allow for traffic. You got to allow to get there, find parking, get to your
I found
field.
that
So,
out. I found that out the hard way last year.
oh yeah, it took you ages to get from New
It took me
York,
two
right?
and a half
So
hours to get there. Initially, it had said an hour and 40 minutes or whatever, because I'm in Westchester.
yeah.
So, dude, it took me different ways, and I got stuck in traffic, and the better part of 2 hours and 15 minutes it took me. So,
Yeah, so I think they're the main one. And the last one before we can wrap this one up is there could be the odd midweek game if we have to do it. If we start hitting rainouts, especially those teams that play in the State Cup.
yeah.
If we say one of our teams get knocked out of the State Cup, but another club in the area carries on, they are allowed to say, I can't play on Saturday because I have a State Cup game, and then we have to rearrange that game. So I think last year I had games at All Saints Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for my teams based on my team's progression in a State Cup or another club's progression in the State Cup. So if that does happen, we'll try and notify you as much as possible. But typically we would play Saturday, Sunday, but there could also be especially in the fall, because it's easy to do with the lighter nights. We might have the odd Friday or Thursday game, especially if we've got teams competing in the State Cup.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that was a lot of important information, and I think Tommy presented it very well.
You know what makes me laugh as well when we do these on Zoom? Now that we're both using Leon's Zoom, we're both called Leon.
Our name is both Leon. Our names. So yeah, it was a lot of information, and I think that this is good now that we get this out on Friday so that parents can listen to it. Nothing this weekend. Take your time in listening to this, but now you have all the information necessary for the spring season. So
yeah, if you are a high school parent listening to that, we don't usually get many of them. Just make sure you're double checking your schedule for the New Jersey tournament, because the weather they've had down there. I know Marty's already looking at changing things. Games are starting to be condensed. They're starting to be moved to different fields based on the weather. So if you are one of those people that listen to our podcast and you are in the high school age group and you listen to this driving down to New Jersey, just make sure you're double checking that schedule for that showcase down there.
Yep, definitely. So we look forward to the spring season. I don't know about yourself, Tom, but I'm definitely excited, to see the progression from the fall to the spring. In the spring, usually I see my teams are connecting a little bit more and have kind of found their rhythm after been playing for almost a year. So I'm excited.
Just getting back to the games is nice, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like coaching. I like training the kids, but games at the weekend is where you find out who's putting it into action and how it's going. So
For sure.
even though it means I've got to put a lot more miles on my car driving around, and you probably do more than me, but yeah, and I do like the games and getting that aspect, getting a few tournaments in there. So I like about coaching, if I'm honest, mate, that it's different every 12 weeks. You know what I mean? The summer's different, the fall, the spring, the winter. So
100%. Well, I might be in Milford soon, so
yeah, I mean, I might be making the move. Get yourself a Connecticut license.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm a New York guy, straight through and through.
Wait till you have some of that New Haven pizza, man. That'll change.
Garbage. Malarkey.
That was by my wife, because she's from New York. When we moved, she couldn't find chicken bacon ranch pizza anywhere. That was like a go-to favorite thing in New York. And then once she got a few Colony grills down, she was fine with the
Colony's good. I like Colony, but for me, if I go to Colony, I'm gonna go non-traditional and get a salad pizza.
Yeah,
I like a salad slice, man. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, must be a New York weird New York thing. You and my missus do the same thing.
Right. Mushy peas over there.
Just as much meat on a pizza as possible for me. I'm happy.
Anyway, enough hearing about our diets.
Lack of
Here's the lack of quality food in our diet. Thanks for listening, and as always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out. And so far we've taken some of the input from the parents and kind of, I guess, put it into practice with these. We've tried to shorten as much as possible. And
yeah, definitely shorter. And any questions, please fire them over. I enjoyed that podcast when we did the questions. So.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. So thanks again for listening. This was another interview podcast. See everybody very soon. Take care, Tom.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Interview Podcast. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, find us on Facebook and Instagram, and check out our website, www.interctfc.com.